Hey guys, I'm Liz. This is my Odoland Camping Fan and Lantern. Here are all the different tests and experiments that I did with not just the fan itself, but also with the inbuilt lantern function, and you'll know everything about this piece of gear by the end of this video. First up, let's start with the unboxing. I bought this Odoland fan from Amazon a few months ago, and I'll show you what it looks like brand new and unopened when you first get it, just in case you want to see what it's like. If you're wondering what some of the blue stickers are, behind these are like QR codes and barcodes that I had to cover. Out of the box, here's everything that I got. Just the lantern itself, some instructions, and the empty box here. Now, the most important thing that controls this Odoland are the switches here. The one on the left controls the different fan functions, and the one on the right controls the lantern. The left switch shows two different fan modes. Right now, it's in the middle, so it's off, but if we click it downwards, that goes to the low mode, and if we move it upwards, that goes to the high mode, so just two fan modes. Now, what are the fan speeds for both these different modes? To test for this, I got this mini anemometer. When I turn the fan on to the low speed and when I hold the anemometer right in front of the fan after the reading stabilizes, which takes a few seconds, this low speed gives me a reading of about 2.6 meters per second, which is about 8.5 feet per second. After that, when I turn the fan on to the high speed, I got a reading of about 3.6 meters per second, or almost 12 feet per second. And those are the fan speeds that you need to know. I also wanted to measure the airflow distance, so I sat in my room with no wind at all. I put the anemometer up close to the fan and slowly increased the distance from the fan. Then I located the exact spot where the meter hit a 0 meters per second reading. Notice that the blades of the anemometer are still turning, but it's not fast enough to register a wind speed reading most of the time. And what is this distance over here? It's 70 inches. 70 inches is the max airflow distance on high speed, and the low speed has a max airflow distance of just slightly less, about 64 inches. I did the same thing while in my tent using this cheap windmill, and I got about the same distance of about 70 inches, which isn't too bad. With this airflow distance, this is actually meant for only the length of a two-person tent, and I'll give you the dimensions of a two-person Coleman tent that I have. It's a little too short to even cool down everyone in a four-person tent. To test for the noise level, I also got a sound level meter. Here's the base sound level with the fan turned off, and the reading comes in at about 39 to 40 decibels. Now, when I turn the fan on the first low speed, the sound meter goes up to about 59 decibels, and on the second higher speed, the sound meter goes up to about 62 to 63 decibels. I'll show you actual clips of exactly how they sound like later, so do stick around for that. For now, we're going to talk a little bit about the power source of this Odoland fan, and that's via D batteries. To access the battery compartment, just push the fan until it's facing downwards. Then, with your thumb covering the logo, grip the top of the fan and use a little bit of force to turn it anti-clockwise. Then push on this little latch here and the battery compartment will pop open. This fan runs on 2 D batteries. I always use Energizer because I love the batteries, and these are Energizer Max. At the bottom of the battery compartment, you'll see the plus and minus signs here, so you know how to insert the batteries. After doing so, just snap the lid shut. To put the outer cover back on, there's this little notch here. Align it with the notch on the fan itself and it'll slide right in. Then click it clockwise and it'll secure in place. For the run times when using the fan function, here's what the official specs say. Basically, you get 5 hours in high speed and 15 hours in low speed. That's what I found on the Amazon webpage when I bought it. But because I use Energizer Max batteries, which generally have much bigger capacities than normal D batteries, and of course I use fresh batteries to give you the most accurate runtime possible, well, here's all the info that I got compared to the specs. Judging from this table here, it looks like the Energizer Max gives me anywhere from double to triple the max runtime possible, so if you want to extend your runtime as long as possible, get these batteries. Now you may be wondering why I've got these weird pluses over here. Like, why is it 40 hours plus another 7 hours? Well, that's because the battery life of this Odoland isn't very consistent. Let's take the max runtime or the low fan mode as an example. For the first 25 hours, the airflow felt really strong and pretty good, coming in at the max 2 2.6 meters or 8.5 feet per second speed I showed you in an earlier test. After that, I noticed that the airflow felt a little bit lighter. I tested it and it came in at about 2 meters or 6.5 feet per second. Still, this is fine, I can deal with it. From about the 30-hour mark, I noticed that the airflow had slowly dropped to about 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet per second. At the 35-hour mark, it dropped again to like 1 meter or 3.3 feet per second. And at the 40-hour mark, the airflow had dropped to like half a meter or 1.6 feet per second. This was absolutely terrible. It keeps dropping and dropping, getting weaker and weaker. On this speed, the blades are moving so slowly that it sometimes barely even registers a wind speed on the anemometer. Even when I'm right up close to the fan, I barely feel any wind at all. This kind of wind speed is not usable at all, so I didn't want to count it as part of the runtime. That's this last 7 hours over here. It didn't feel right to give this a 47-hour runtime. 40 hours of somewhat usable fan speed is more accurate, I guess. Moving away from the fan modes, let's talk about the lantern function next, and remember, the right switch controls the lantern. As you see here, there's only an off and on toggle, so basically there's only one mode. But I did notice that when I had the lantern and the fan on at the same time, the lantern actually got slightly dimmer. Maybe that's to conserve battery or something. The official lumen output is supposed to be 80 lumens, but when I actually tested this using my lux meter, the lumen output was much higher, coming in at 398 lumens, almost 400 lumens instead. And when I turned the fan on at the same time, I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but it actually gets a little bit dimmer, and that lumen output comes in at about 230 lumens instead. As for the light quality, the lantern comes with 18 LED bulbs. You can actually see 6 LED bulbs in this first strip, 6 more in the second strip, and another 6 in the third strip, so that makes 18 altogether. I thought the light was honestly very harsh, and I didn't like it at all. Here's what it looks like hanging at the top of my tent at night, and it's so bright that it lights up the entire base very well. Even when I was sitting at the very edge of the tent, I could still see every word on this piece of paper very clearly, so it's great for reading or playing cards if you like to do that. Next, I turn the fan on. The lantern function gets a little bit dimmer, but I can still see every word very clearly from the edge of the tent. The base is still nicely lighted up too, so that's fine. From the outside of the tent, this is what the lantern looks like, and notice it lights up the entire tent very nicely. Now, here's a shot where I turn the fan on at the same time, and notice that the light is quite a bit dimmer. That's what I'm talking about. And also, here's what the Odoland looks like hanging from a tripod, but without a tent, just in case you want to check it out. Now, how long can the lantern run for? Well, using another fresh batch of Energizer Max batteries, here's what the runtime is like compared to the official specs. I got about 58 hours of bright light, but after that, so at about the 58-hour mark, the light got significantly dimmer. It got dimmer and dimmer until the battery went flat at about the 72.5-hour mark. Oh, and if you're wondering where I got this 37-hour figure from, that's from the Amazon page as well. Now, if you're using the lantern at the same time as the fan, here's how much you can expect your runtime to decrease by. So, for example, instead of getting 21 hours of high fan speed, you get about 17 hours of high fan speed instead. The light shuts off at about the 17-hour mark, and the fan speed drops to about 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet per second. It keeps dropping and dropping, and finally the fan blades stop moving at about the 21-hour mark. I estimate that to be about a 15 to 20% decrease from just using the fan itself. The lantern also acts as a stand, so if you want the fan right in front of you on the ground to beat the heat, you can just face the lantern towards the ground and turn the fan slightly so that it's angled towards you, and you can get the maximum airflow this way. This Odoland also has a nicely sized handle right behind the fan, so you can pick it up and carry it around like this. There's more than enough space for my hand. And in the middle of the handle, you can actually flip up this hook here, which allows you to hang the lantern anywhere the hook fits. The hook is kind of big though, so it doesn't fit into the circle lantern loop at the top of my sundome, but the fabric that holds the loop, that fits the Odoland's hook, so that's where I hung it from. This is what it looks like at the bottom of my tent. I can barely feel the wind, which is why, again, I wouldn't recommend this in a 6-person tent. To rotate the fan head, you first have to push the hook in and push the handle to the side. After that, the fan could spin practically 360 degrees around and around. I also like that I can angle the light in any direction so it's not so glaring on the eyes, and you can even angle the fan and light in opposite directions, which is cool. There's a lot of versatility here. As for waterproofing, the Odoland is supposed to be weather resistant. It says so here when I got it. It's also moisture proof and, well, fears rain. I have no idea what that means, so I rain tested this fan myself, and after about 30 minutes of moderate rain, I'll put some shots of the rain testing on the screen here for you to check out. The fan function was still working, but the lighting is toast. The battery compartment still had a little bit of water inside, but it's mostly dry. I guess that's why they said it fears rain. As for materials, this entire fan is made of plastic, including the fan head and the blades. And these two knobs on the side, also plastic, kept dropping off for me, so not great. As for warranty, I couldn't find any info on that, so you're stuck with Amazon's 30-day warranty. As for weight, this fan came in at about 13.8 ounces, which is about 392 grams if you need that conversion, and that's without the D batteries. With the two D batteries though, the total weight comes in at about 23.6 ounces, which is about 668 grams. The size of the face of the fan came in at about 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 inches in diameter, which is also about 14.6 by 14.6 centimeters if again you need that conversion. And if you squish the entire fan and make it as compact as possible, the packed length is about 7.5 inches, which is about 19 centimeters. For pros, easily the biggest one is its super inexpensive upfront cost. This is probably the camping fan I have with the cheapest price tag. I bought mine for about 17 USD. Another pro is that it has an inbuilt lantern, so if you need to buy a camping lantern as well, this does save you some extra money by being a 2-in-1. I also think that it has a decent number of physical features, like not only a handle, but even a hook that pops up the top. I also love the 360-degree fan rotation. This is pretty important when it comes to camping fans, I think. However, as for cons, I didn't like that there's not a lot of fan modes, just 2 different modes. And as for the lantern, there's literally only one mode, just off and on. And the light quality, not the best. It's a bit too glaring for me. I was also really annoyed by how the battery life isn't the most consistent, and I explained that back in test number 10, I think. I also found the fan to be kind of noisy, but such a small, tiny fan. It has a bit of a clicking sound to it, even on the low speed, and like I promised, here's exactly how the fan sounds. I also wish that this fan had more features. Like right now it doesn't have a sleep timer to conserve battery, which I think is super important for a camping fan to conserve battery. It also doesn't have battery indicator lights and also no charge out function for charging your devices. The next con is that D batteries are really quite pricey, and here's a quick table comparing how much they will be when you buy them in bulk and the cost per battery in the last column too. The cheapest D batteries I could find are from Amazon Basics. These can be as low as $1.15 per D battery. But if you want to get the ones that I use, that's Firm Energizer Max and costs about $2 per battery. That's $4 per use if you're going on like a short 3-day camping trip. After 5 to 10 of these short camping trips, your fan has gone from an upfront cost of just 17 USD to like 57 USD, which honestly just doesn't make good financial sense to me. I would recommend this fan only if you already have a humongous stash of D batteries that you want to use up. You don't want to spend more than $20 on a camping fan and lantern together, and if you're using this for yourself. Yeah, about that, just take note that this is great for only a single person. I couldn't imagine having to share this with someone else. It is the tiniest camping fan I have, and because of its tiny, less than 6-inch face and the blades are probably only like 4 inches in diameter, it really doesn't move that much air. If you don't fit within these 3 exact conditions here, I highly recommend watching this video on the screen here. I've got a much better recommendation for you, which isn't that much more expensive and is rechargeable at the same time, so it'll save you so much money in the long run. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in that video.